Next man up, 102.5 The Game. Jake Lyman, Turron, Davenport, Parker, Kelly with you on this Thursday, broadcasting live from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios. Home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. Hope everybody is having a great start to their day. TD, what's going on?
Man, I tell you what, I'm feeling good, man.
I love it.
Went for a nice long walk this morning instead of working out. Listened to some motivational music and speech and read a little bit of my book. Life is good.
It's a great start to the day. And, the weather has come back around. It makes you appreciate the 65, 70-degree days more when you get the 30-degree day on Monday with the snow flurries in November. So
perspective.
Great start to the day. We've got a fun show planned for you. Plenty of Titans talk. Andrew Allegretta going to join at 10:30 today. We're going to talk Vandy football, their win over Auburn last weekend, heading into the bye week where they will have plenty of games to keep their eye on for their college football playoff hopes. But TD, Titans back from the bye week, practice for the first time yesterday, and it looks like at least some of the injured players going to come back. Calvin Ridley was limited in practice yesterday. Jeffrey Simmons didn't practice, but the way he's talked about posted on social media the last couple of weeks, I think he's going to be back too. So it could be a nice boost for this Titans team coming out of the bye week to get some of their key veteran players back.
Yeah, it could be a very nice boost. And you also got to mention Arden Key, who practiced as well. And, he was dealing with the injury. I think it was a quad that he's been dealing with. So to see him come out and talk to him after practice, he was talking about how he misses Draymond Jones and was looking forward to working in tandem with him. But now he's looking forward to getting to do some of the things that Draymond Jones was doing in tandem with Jahai Ward. So it's going to be fun to watch that.
Yeah, it is funny to look at the Titans pass rush, which was considered probably the weak point of the team heading into the year. And they're putting up numbers despite not having their whole group together at the same point at any time. Like, has there been a time this year where they've run out Draymond Jones, Tavondre Sweat, Jeffrey Simmons, and Arden Key outside of maybe week one against the Broncos?
Yeah, that's about it.
Because Tavondre Sweat went on IR after week 2, and he didn't play in week 2. So, yeah, it's been the Titans have not been able to put out that full healthy group of pass rushers and still have found a way to put up 22 sacks through their first 9 games. The Titans 1-8, currently in line for the number 1 overall pick. It was a nice bye week for the Titans.
Yeah, they got the W, right? They won.
They got about as much help as you could possibly ask for, which I said it earlier this week. If you're looking for the happy medium as a Titans fan between rooting for your team to lose and rooting for your team to win, root for your team to win when they're on the field for 3 hours. So root for the Titans, but root for all of the other teams in contention for the number 1 pick to win also.
That's
and
fair.
You can still end up getting the number 1 pick with 3 wins. We saw it last year.
Yeah, I mean, that's the fair way to look at it. You know what I mean? You never want to root for your team to lose.
Right.
But as you said, you got to root against the Saints, root against the Jets.
No, you root for them. You want them to win as many games as possible.
For them, against who's playing them. You want to root for Yeah, exactly.
I have a friend who's a big Jets fan, and he wants them to go full-on tank mode. And so I was just texting him during the game on Sunday, JETS, every time they scored when they got those back-to-back return touchdowns.
You and Fireman Ed, huh?
615-737-1025 is our phone number. We'd love to hear from you. As always, at 10 a.m., we'll get to your questions for TD, so make sure you get those in on our phone and text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. TD, there's low expectations for this Titans team the rest of the way. I think, honestly, there may be expectations that this team may not win another game, but this week, a chance to reset, especially for some of these young guys. Rookie years are tough for these players because it's not like you get a break. You end your college season and go right into draft prep. You get drafted. That goes right into OTAs. You get maybe a couple weeks off, and then it's training camp, and you go.
Yeah.
It's like drinking through a fire hose until you get this bye week and maybe can take a step back. Could we see some of the young guys, Cam Ward the most notable, but maybe Chimdike, Gunnar Helm, Alec Iamaner, who is maybe hit a little bit of a wall the last couple of weeks, maybe take a step forward after getting a week to reset?
Well, I tell you what, and Mike McCoy, he spoke about it briefly, just as far as like all the running that Iamaner does and how they log it and stuff. So I think this break was good for him. If I was him, I would definitely – you can't stay completely off your feet because you got to stay in shape, but I would definitely have took it easy, taking it easy.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And I think that's something that will help him be fresh during the remainder of the season. I think when you look at Chim DK, it's just he's so funny story back in college, because I was always like keep going and keep going and keep going.
Yeah.
They used to say, man, he's like a John Deere tractor. And so I'm gonna expand that to Chim DK. He is like a John Deere tractor, and he's just going to keep going, and he shows no signs of wearing down. So I think that's good. Cam Ward, as far as getting to take that step back and look at some things. And when I asked him what he looked at the most yesterday, he said the easy plays.
Yeah.
And that's the key to effective quarterbacking. Yeah, I mean, you want to be able to rip that throw, that 16-yard end breaker just above the linebacker and before the safety. You want to be able to do that.
Yeah.
But you also have to be able to take what the defense gives you and consistently move the chains. And that's something that he said he reflected upon a lot.
Yeah, I think the one thing you probably aren't concerned with Cam Ward about is the ability to make the difficult throws, because he's shown that he can make the difficult throws and the flashy ones, the highlight plays. But you're right, it is taking the layups, and he's struggled with that at times, whether it's the decision making and passing up an open receiver, hunting something further down the field, or just some accuracy issues on some of those layups that he's had. So it's good to hear that he is focusing in on that, because you look at the Titans offense, the biggest issue is they haven't been able to sustain drives. They are the worst third down team in the NFL by a wide margin. And part of that is on third downs being able to make plays and move the sticks. But it's also been when they give him chances on first and second downs to get you into a manageable third down, he hasn't been taking advantage of those enough.
That's the point right there. And that's something I focused on in my story that I posted yesterday in regards to taking that check down. A, it keeps you upright. B, it gets the ball out of your hands and into the playmakers' hands, who are better with the ball than you are as far as running with it. And C, it gets you in that third and manageable.
Yeah.
It gets 6 yards or 4 yards instead of nothing. So it's definitely a better thing to do.
Yeah, 28% on third down for the Titans this year. I believe Corey and I were looking yesterday. I think the next closest team is 35%. So the Titans not even close to number 31 when it comes to third down conversion rate. And you're not going to be able to stay on the field and sustain these drives if you can't move the sticks. And especially we've seen they're not going to be all that aggressive on fourth down either. And going forward, seeing if they can make some play. I don't know. I mean, I guess if you can't convert third downs, our fourth down is going to be much better.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. But to your point though about converting third downs and extending drives, that's something that Chig Okonkwo talked about. Just as far as more opportunities, and then everybody could eat. Right, when you have limited opportunities, when you have a little smaller pie to slice up, there's less pieces for everybody. So that's something else to consider.
Yeah, the Titans, their offense has been the worst in football, especially in the passing game. You get this bye week, and you want to see some strides taken, especially from the young quarterback who has underwhelmed through the first 9 games. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. Again, your chance to talk to TD is coming up at 10 o'clock, so get your questions in on our phone and text lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Also, Andrew Allegretta from Vanderbilt football going to join us at 10:30. We'll look back on Vanderbilt's overtime win over Auburn and look ahead to the final 2 games of the season. Commodores hosting Kentucky next week, and then the one that we've all been looking forward to, Vanderbilt and Tennessee, coming up in a few weeks from Neyland Stadium. We are off and running on this Thursday morning with Turron Davenport. Coming up next, I want to get into the rest of the Titans offense. What could it look like the rest of the year? We talked about some of the young guys, Chim DK, the John Deere tractor. We've gone from the Honda Accord and Nick Westbrook-Akina to the John Deere tractor.
John Deere.
Chim DK. But also with Calvin Ridley coming back, how much of a factor is he going to be? And do you still look for the youth movement to continue with these rookies and some of the younger pieces on the Titans offense? We'll talk about it next. Jake Lyman, Turron Davenport, Parker Kelly with you on this Thursday. Next Man Up, 102.5 The Game. The MTSU Blue Raiders will take on Western Kentucky this Saturday at 2:30 p.m. Catch all of the action on Totally Hits 93.3 with coverage also available on the Totally Hits Nashville app and at totallyhitsnashville.com. Parker said he was coming in hot this morning.
Yeah. This right here, woo-wee. You want to see some blood boil or feel some blood boil? Parker hit it with. He said he was setting the tone.
He did. He said he was setting the tone. Well done.
I'm ready to get some push-ups.
We did. Something. We got a text yesterday, and I'm forgetting who it was, but somebody said TD Thursday music is better than the Wednesday music with Corey. We go throwback on Wednesday with Corey. So
I don't think they're wrong.
Parker does bring out his best stuff when
same
when
producer but different production.
Talking Titans here in this first hour. The Titans offense may get a boost. Calvin Ridley coming back after he's missed the last few weeks with a hamstring injury. And I know that the young guys, you want to see them get as many reps as possible. And Calvin Ridley has not had a good season this year. Too many drops, been inconsistent, and of course has been injured lately. But I think it is important for Cam Ward to get a guy out there who he can, first off, take away attention from some of the younger guys and get more one-on-one matchups for guys like Allegretta and Chim DK. But also Calvin Ridley, despite some of the inconsistencies dropping the ball, he is a veteran wide receiver who is proven. And that's something that Cam Ward really hasn't had while he's been out. I mean, Tyler Lockett's gone. He wasn't much of a factor even when he was here. Van Jefferson is a fine backup wide receiver, but you get yourself a top-line veteran receiver who can be your number one guy.
Yeah, Ridley could be the number one guy. The key thing for him, and it's interesting because you hate to say this about a veteran, but consistency. And I think for him, the main thing is like getting out of his own mind and getting back into the swing of things. And that's something that, look, it should happen gradually. But me personally, I wouldn't be in a rush to have all the targets go his way. I think
I agree.
You have to keep Ayamana involved. And Chim DK is just a big play waiting to happen. So you got to continue to take your shots to him when those are available. Actually, Whiteboard Wednesday this week is a play action with him on a wheel route and Ayamana on a post. And yeah, that's an example of how you could work this play action, which has worked a lot better for them as well. And don't forget about that tight end.
Yeah.
8-4.
Gunnar Helm, I think that is the one thing I want to see more in the second half of the season is give me more 84.
Yeah.
Like Gunnar Helm.
Give me more. 84.
Yeah, there we go.
I like it.
Quick tangent. Did you see Scott Boras yesterday talking about Tarek Skubal?
Oh, I thought you were going to talk about the alliteration.
Yeah, he was saying
with Pete Alonso.
Oh, he did that about Pete Alonso too?
Yeah.
He was saying yesterday, he's like, Tigers fans want to build a Tarek barrack, and Little Caesar is walking around Detroit yelling, "Sai." I'm like, why are we going into Dr. Seuss mode as the mega agent in the MLB?
Yeah, it's a mess. It's a mess. Well, you know what? I tell you, these our two teams could end up doing some business, man. They could end up doing some business because
if Nolan McLean's not included, it's not happening.
Really?
I would think so.
Nah, Nolan McLean won't be included, but Jonah Tong, David Peterson, Jet Williams, maybe a guy like what's the third baseman? His name just complete. Brandon Sproat is another pitcher. The first baseman rather.
Brett Beatty.
No, not Beatty. He's in the system now. It's going to come back to me. I'll give it to you.
I do think the Tigers are going to trade Tarek Skubal, which is tough, but if they're not going to pay him and Scott Boras is intent on taking him to free agency, you got to get what you can for him. So anyway, back to football. I want more 84. Give me more Gunnar Helm the rest of the way. He has gotten limited opportunities. I think it started to grow as we've gotten through the season, but I like Chig Okonkwo, but Chig is a impending free agent. You don't know if he's going to be coming back. I want to see. I wouldn't hate bringing him back, but I want to see what Gunnar Helm can do. I think he should be getting the lion's share of the snaps at tight end the rest of the way.
Yeah, and I asked, Cam when he said that, he's like, hey, more 12 personnel, and it's funny because I went back and looked at the targets, and I'm like, and looked at the converting of the targets. I'm like, hey, man, this is a guy you got to go to. So I asked Mike McCoy, hey, one target against the Chargers.
Yeah.
Is this a guy, like, what can you do to get him? He was like, well, I like completions. I'm like, dude, 25 targets, 20 completions. If you like completions, you like Gunnar Helm.
Throw it to
Get
Gunnar
him
Helm.
the football. You know what I mean? And he did acknowledge that there were some times where they had plays called, and this happens, and it happens, right? You have a play called for a guy, and something happens to sweep it away, and you got to go elsewhere. So that is something to consider. But I would try to manufacture more ways to get him the football.
I agree. I think he deserves more opportunities. I mean, the catch against the Colts, I know it was late in the game, and it was a good throw from Cam Ward, but it just like the late hands up and grabbing it on the sideline. He has shown me enough that I think he deserves to get more snaps the rest of the way. You talked about not giving Calvin Ridley all of the targets and continuing to spread the ball around. I do think something that could be important for Calvin Ridley, at least on Sunday if he comes back, is get him involved early, because Calvin Ridley, I think, is he is one of those types of players where if he doesn't get a target in the first quarter, he's probably not going to have a very good game.
And that's a lot of receivers. Also,
right.
I mean,
look at what's going on with A.J. Brown right now in Philly.
Yeah. But that was good to call out the offense because they do need to play better.
No, they do. They do. But it is definitely not a good situation.
Yeah.
As he said, family and everything going all right? Everything else? No. Where have you been? But Calvin Ridley is one of those players where if you get him involved early, he can really get into a rhythm for you. I'm not saying that you force feed him the ball, but draw up a couple of plays on the first drive or two to get him involved, get the ball in his hands. And that usually makes Calvin Ridley better. You saw the Broncos game at the beginning of the year. They didn't really throw him the ball very much early on, and then he dropped everything thrown his way late.
Yeah. And that's when Mr. Calvin Ward, man. He looked like he ate a bad sandwich, boy.
I mean,
the way he leaned on that railing.
He had a visceral reaction to that drop.
Hilarious.
Still one of the best visuals of the year, of just because that is how every Titans fan felt in that moment. Absolutely, when Cam Ward throws a dart that just ricochets off his hands. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. It was Wes from Hermitage who said that TD music selection better than Corey on Wednesday. He texted out again this morning. So there we go. He says, "Hey TD, I'll trade you a pair of my daughter's long stitch socks for a copy of your playlist."
Hey, listen, you don't need to give me anything. I don't want to take away from anybody's daughters. Shoot me a DM with your information, and I'll send you a playlist. And shoot me like what type of time you on. You know what I mean? Are you on to turn on the lights? I got something for that. Are you on to get hype? I got something for that. Are you on the mental feel good? Got something for that too. If it's a mood, I got music for it.
I think that's a very good point, because even when Parker is bringing us in and out of breaks, it's always a different vibe. It's not all the same. So Wes from Hermitage, reach out to TD. Dustin from Hopkinsville said that Dreams and Nightmares was a bit too much for him at 9:16 a.m. on a Thursday.
Listen, it's never too early to get hype. It's never. Crazy story about that song. They played that before the Super Bowl,
right? The Nick Foles one. Right?
Malcolm Jenkins came running out. I saw they're winning. And then in the locker room, they played, and it was so funny. And I'm sorry to get off, but I like to tell a story. And it was so funny. Like, they played in the locker room. Jeffrey Lurie was the team owner. Was in the locker room, right? And he was talking to Michael Kendricks, the linebacker. And the song came on, and all of a sudden, like, the beat dropped, and Michael Kendricks just started grabbing everything and throwing it at Jeffrey Lurie, just like looking like, oh my God. You got Lane Johnson smoking a Cuban cigar. That was a moment, man. So every time that song, thank you, Parker, because you gave my skin goosebumps, because every time that song comes on, I think back to that moment. It was awesome.
Was it Dustin that texted that? It was too early?
Yeah, Dustin from Hopkinsville texted that.
Hey, it's time to wake up. It's time to wake up. Gotta set the tone for the day.
Right, exactly. Right. It's Thursday. It's not Monday. We're off and running. Let's go to our phone lines driven by WilsonCountyHunter.com. Trey is on the line wanting to chime in. Trey, thanks for calling. What you got for us this morning?
Good morning, guys. How y'all doing?
Good morning. Doing awesome. How are you?
Good morning, TD.
Yes, sir.
I just wanted to say that, I've been thinking about this a lot, and that, I've met a lot of famous people in my life, through the years. Real famous people, brands, you know what I'm saying? And my thing of it is that everything that they told me, I try to iterate and speak out on. And I'm just going to say it. You know what I'm saying? If we have to develop somebody to be able to go in there and win a football game, or get a first down without making the ball, dropping the ball in the backfield. Why are we talking about development? Why?
Development is an ongoing thing. Like Trey, I'm sure you're a very seasoned man, but I would like to believe that there are areas where you could develop as a person, right? And so just the same with Cam Ward,
you have to learn, but you have to be mentally strong to be able to develop.
True. But who's to say that he's not mentally strong?
I'm just saying the record speaks for itself. And then everybody's on the internet saying that he's going to have the worst record as far as a rookie in NFL history.
Well, I mean, there's a guy named Troy Aikman who, if I'm not mistaken, they only won one game. And I'm not saying Cam's going to be Troy Aikman. And you know that's not what I'm saying. That's not for you. That's for everybody else listening. But
Kitty, I love you, Dad. You've been around him. What is it about him that you think can be that he could develop in or be better in? You know him better than I do. You probably got him on speed dial. How can this man be better?
Well, I think you mentioned it, right? One of the major areas, and that's the ball security. I think you look at the ability to take what's there, like as be a more efficient passer. I think you have to also look at just believe in what he's seeing and ripping it at the same time. Those to me are the three big ones. But I mean, let's call a spade a spade. This situation, and he hasn't been good. I'm not excusing it at all. But this situation hasn't been good either. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's been bad. They haven't gave him the people that he needs to be a better person and a better player. I understand that. I just want him to get better. I'm not going to rip on him and stuff like that because, I am seasoned. I've been around the world. I've done a lot of good things in my life. I just want the young man to get better, bro.
Yeah,
and I love
y'all.
Y'all have a good day. Thank you, TD.
Yo, much love, Trey. I appreciate you calling, man.
Thanks for the call, Trey. Yeah, it's I get what he's saying, but every quarterback, every player in NFL history has developed.
Yeah, he's just saying that out of the intense desire and passion for this man to get better.
Right.
You know what I mean? Right. I think that's really what it is. And guys, people are frustrated, because there's a degree of hope that was put forth despite the expectation being, hey, this team is not going to be good.
Yeah.
But their quarterback going to be a bad, you know what. And it's not happening all the way. You're seeing the flashes. That's the one thing. You're seeing the flashes, but you're also seeing the flashes of, come on, man. What are we doing here?
It hasn't been good enough through 9 games, but again, it's been 9 games. It's like you drafted this guy number 1 overall with the belief that he was going to be your franchise quarterback for the next 10 years, not for the first 10 games. Like it's going to take some time. You've got to get better pieces around him. But also, you have to see more development. And we can get to that coming up next. Cam Ward yesterday, there was Jim Wyatt put a clip out there of Cam Ward during individual work, and it went viral for some reason.
It blew up,
I wanted to get your thoughts on that. Yeah. We'll do that coming up next. Jake Lyman, Turron, Davenport with you on this Thursday morning here on Next Man Up 102.5 The Game. This takes me back to like freshman year of college.
Yeah.
Next man up, 102.5 The Game, Jake Lyman, Turron, Davenport, Parker, Kelly. I'm kind of with Dustin. It might be too early for that one.
No.
It's a party up in here today.
It's a party. Let's go, man.
I may or may not have played that song next.
There we go. 9:45. You're ready for that one.
Get ready.
This Sunday, the NFL game of the week is the Chiefs and Broncos at 3:25 on 102.5 The Game. The NFL game of the week is presented by Circus Sportsbook Kentucky and Macero in 12 South. So yesterday, TD, Titans back at practice, and Jim Wyatt, as he always does, put out a video of Cam Ward going through individual work. And for some reason, it went viral. I believe it was Sean McAvoy, the quarterback coach, who basically said it was not a good use of practice time of a 3-yard pass, and Cam Ward kind of walked through his finish.
And nobody talking to him.
Right. They didn't get on him for walking through his finish. What were your thoughts on that? Because I understand those individual periods are important to work through footwork and mechanics, but it felt like a little bit of an overreaction to take one rep, an 8-second clip of Cam Ward, and basically act like that's all that they're doing for him in the individual period.
Yeah, I mean, look, they do a lot more than this. Actually, somebody asked me if I have anything of him going through the drills at full speed. They do some full speed drills too. There's something that Bo Hart agreed that I really like that they do is like they throw bags at him and he has to kind of like sandbags, and he has to, it's not huge, so that's, before you say it's stupid, it's sandbags, like maybe like size of a half a brick, right? And so they throw that at him, and he has to kind of like avoid it and reset and throw. There's different things you could do. This was, and this is another thing about context. And a lot of times when I get into this mode, people say, "Oh, you're excusing." I'm not excusing. I'm just explaining. Right? Yeah. You take it for how you want it. But this is literally the first thing that they did. Right? You got the ball security drill, disruption drill, period, and then they start individual. And the quarterbacks, like, this happened right after they ran over to this is a part of like the loosening up part. Like you do a little stretch before you work out. Right. This is essentially that. Yes. So I get it. It does optically, it looks bad, but there's always, it's just like a small quote from a big statement being pulled and honed in on, and that's what happened.
Yeah, I agree. I think it was taken out of context. It's one clip, but these individual periods are important because it is where Cam Ward can work on the mechanical issues that we've obviously seen. Footwork has been an issue. Some of his release points have been issues that have led to passes getting batted down. I get it, but you're right. That's kind of how I take it whenever these videos get posted of them going through these drills. It's like, there's times for, the direction of, all right, here's what you need to be doing in this drill. But that felt like it was more of a warm up, like, hey, just get your legs going a little bit and make a throw. But with Cam Ward, what do you think is the most important thing for him to develop coming up this week? Because I think probably his worst game of the season was that game in Houston against the Texans. He was 10 of 26 for 108 yards in that game. And most of those yardage came on the first drive of the game when he made a nice throw to Allegretta down the field.
He ripped it.
Pretty much the rest of that game, he couldn't get much going. What's going to be important for him to improve against a defense that has a ton of talent, two really good corners in Stingley and Lassiter, and then, of course, Will Anderson and Daniil Hunter are going to be hunting him down off the edge.
Yeah, can't forget my guy Azeez Al-Shire, too. But
I don't think Cam will forget him after what happened last time.
Right. Here's the deal. I think the biggest thing is just consistency. And I say consistency because it's like all encompassing. Be more consistent with taking those profit type of plays, the easy plays, as he calls them. Be more consistent with your footwork, timing up with the routes.
Yep.
Because then when that happens, you're at the top of your drop. The receivers where you expect them to be, and you see it, boom, you throw. You know what I mean? Those types of things. Be more consistent with your ball security. And I had mentioned this on Talking with TD. I want to say it was Tampa, right? And there was a period where Caleb Chason was closing in on him, right? And it was coming like on his right shoulder. and you saw him suddenly put two hands on the ball, and he put the ball down to his right hip, right? And then two hands on the ball still, moved it up to like eye level, and then two hands still on the ball to his left. And he was doing this as he slid within the pocket, like moved within the pocket. And then he cocked it back and threw it, and it was a completion to Emeka Okafor. Damn,
Emeka Okafor.
Abuka. There's something wrong with my brain with that. There's something wrong. I don't know what it is. Yeah, I always say Emeka Okafor.
Hey, great player.
And like you saw the windup, and I knew, and I still said it wrong. Emeka Ibuka on the deep end breaking route.
Yeah.
But that ball security, or as John Gruden used to always call it, the two-handed monster.
Right.
Do that more consistently, and you won't have those problems as much with that. So consistency is all encompassing.
Yeah, no, and I think that is the biggest thing for Cam Ward is finding more consistency, being able to string together quarters instead of drives. It's like we've seen Cam Ward have a good half of football.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen Cam Ward have a good quarter of football, but he hasn't been able to put together a complete game where you come out of it and say, man, Cam looked really good today. There's been times it was like, hey, Cam Ward had a really good first half, but then, he dropped the football randomly. Or, that pick, it was deflected, but it was off target. There's been too much of that where he just hasn't been able to leave a game and be like, yeah, Cam, that was a full step in the right direction.
Right.
I'd like to see that this week, especially against a team that he struggled against before, coming off the bye week. Show that tangible progress of like, hey, he completed 38% of his passes against this team last time. Go out and complete 70 on Sunday against the Texans. And are they going to win the game? Probably not. But put your team in a position where you're moving the football consistently. You're putting your team in a chance to score points. And if you lose by 3, great. But put together a game that you can build off of moving forward.
Exactly. And I think that's the thing. Put together that signature game. Or even have a signature moment. You know what I mean? And I think if you look at it, if you had to say, I would say probably the throw to Ironman or the touchdown one.
I was going to say the Ridley one
DK,
against the Cardinals.
Like there's a few in there that you could mix in, but it's just like put together a full quarter.
Yeah.
And build upon that. And I think that's really the main thing.
Yes. And it's tough that you're looking for the good with Cam Ward as he's come through, and there has been good, but in every game there's also been bad that has kind of canceled it out. Like you look at the Patriots game, I thought that was one of the better games that he's played, but of course everybody's going to remember the ghost fumble that ended the game basically. So you have to be able to avoid those catastrophic mistakes and be more consistent as you move forward coming out of the bye week. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. If you have thoughts for TD, get those in on our phone and text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Again, your chance to talk to TD coming up at the top of the hour. Coming up next, the Titans head coaching search moving along, and there is now another opening out there. Wanted to get TD's thoughts on a couple of the rumors going on around guys who could be available, other jobs that could open up, and much more. Jake Lyman, Turron, Davenport, Parker Kelly, next man up, 102.5 The Game.
Breezy. Huh?
Parker 3 for 3
He
to
said,
start off hour number 1.
He said I could put you on a flight. That's a baller stuff, man.
See, this is I think this is a better vibe. I couldn't get into the one at 9:30, but
man, all three of these, you got to have diversity.
Looking for a great spot to pregame before the Titans and Texans game this Sunday? Stop by John Bon Jovi's and pregame with 102.5. The Game JBJ's has the best food on Broadway, cold beer and cocktails, and stunning skyline views, including 2 epic rooftops. Pregame show is brought to you by Tennessee Brewworks and Old National Bank. Jake Lyman, Turron, Davenport with you on this Thursday, wrapping up hour number 1. And don't forget, your chance to talk to TD is coming up in 15 minutes, so you can get your questions in on our text line or call in at 615-737-1025. The Titans were the only head coach opening until Monday when the Giants joined them, firing Brian Daboll. And now there's 2. Expect there to be a couple more. I would guess Miami might open. Arizona might open. There's a few other, Cleveland, Cincinnati.
Yeah.
I want to get
Green Bay.
That was where I was going.
I don't think so. That would be crazy, but
I was called crazy by the Green Bay fans, including Robbie Stanley, for saying that I didn't think he was coaching for his job the rest of the year. But it does seem like that's the sentiment, that if Matt LaFleur doesn't turn this around pretty quickly, that he might be out. What are your thoughts on a Matt LaFleur reunion here? If he was cut loose, do you think that would be an interesting move for the Titans to go and bring him in?
I think he would probably vault up to the number 1.
That's what I think too.
Because he gives you that mix of everything, right?
Right.
He has the youth. He has the did it before. He has the offensive, he's from that tree. You saw him, Sarah Barship from ESPN, the Rams reporter. She did an awesome story on the play callers that came from McVay,
right,
by way of Kyle Shanahan, right, and about the drawlers. But Matt LaFleur was in that. So long story short, he's from that tree that everybody's trying to pick from.
Yeah.
So that to me would be the number 1 guy right away if he were to hit the market.
Yeah. What was it? The Washington staff had Shanahan, McVay, and LaFleur on there, and maybe there might have been somebody else.
There were
too.
a few others too. Like if you look at the whole, it was. It was
obviously Mike Shanahan was the head coach then, and his son Kyle.
Mike Shanahan, really good coach, man. Like he was the 94 49ers OC, man, and that 94 49ers team used to roll. And don't forget the Broncos, as good as they were.
Yeah, I mean, technically all of these coaches are his coaching tree, if you want to go back even further. But yes, LaFleur was the offensive coordinator under Sean McVay when they first started over there in LA, then 1 year with the Titans as a play caller, which it wasn't a great year offensively for the Titans, but that was the year Marcus Mariota had the nerve damage in his arm. So it wasn't like there was a whole lot that he could do. And then he goes, obviously, and has become the head coach of the Packers, has taken them to the NFC Championship. I agree. I think if he was let go, he immediately becomes option number 1 because he does combine everything that you're looking for of guy who is a leader, head coaching experience, but also can come in and develop your young quarterback.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And you look at bringing him back here, I think would be good. I just wonder, like having spent a year and I don't think in 2018 it was really dysfunctional. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he may not have, had to see too much of it.
Right.
But, and I know he and Vrabel are not the best of friends. So it wasn't like, they talked about it.
It's not like he's going to back up his boy Vrabel.
Yeah. Or even, and even just like for them to talk, like, you know how things go.
Right.
Man.
Right. Like, you don't want to work for Amy, that kind of stuff.
Exactly. So that would be intriguing because normally, in my opinion, a number 1 option is someone that I don't think would come here. But I think LaFleur, that's different.
Yeah, I agree. It's kind of like we talk about Arthur Smith. Obviously, Art was here for a lot longer than Matt LaFleur, but I think LaFleur gives you everything that Arthur Smith gives you, but he's had more success as a head coach in the NFL. Speaking of Vrabel, you see the comments this week?
Which one's about the not trading and him?
Well,
saying,
me and Amy shouldn't be
in the same
talked about in the same sentence.
Hey, listen, that's the Will Smith.
Keep my name out your mouth. Yeah, I mean, it was a fair question by the radio host asked of like, hey, did you get turned down by the Titans because Amy Adams Strunk still is holding a grudge? I haven't talked to her since she fired me. We should not be mentioning the same sentence.
Out of sight, out of mind.
No, but I agree. I think Matt LaFleur would be an option. Brian Daboll is now out there and not a head coach, not as a head coach.
Okay.
But if you brought in a Robert Saleh or one of these defensive head coaches, maybe you pull from the college ranks and go get Marcus Freeman. I know Corey Curtis has said that. Would Brian Daboll maybe be an option as an offensive coordinator who has done a nice job of developing a gunslinger, kind of unpolished guy in Josh Allen, can kind of do the same thing with Cam Ward?
I think that would be good. That would be a good match. But I'm curious because you look at Daboll, he likes to run the quarterback. So I'm curious how that marriage would be. And it comes down to, okay, how stubborn are you as a coach?
Yeah.
Are you able to get away from, because in Buffalo, man, they ran power. Josh Allen was their running back. It's 3rd and 3. Hey, we're running power, QB power. Let's have it. You know what I mean? So I think when you look at that, will he get away from that? Because look, you saw Jackson Dart concussed. You know what I mean? Because
multiple times
he was running him like he's Cam Newton and Josh Allen. You know what I mean? So you got to understand what you're working with and change to that.
Yes. Jackson Dart has been run into the ground already as a rookie, and we'll see if he's able to play this week. If not, it's going to be Jameis Winston out there in New York.
I'm telling you, Jameis should be here.
I know.
He should be here.
He was singing Hamilton in his press conference yesterday.
Yeah, that dude he's pure comedy, man. Like
at the very least, it would have been so much more entertaining. Like, I don't even think I could pick Brandon Allen out of a lineup. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I'm sure he is a good voice in that room and like whatever, but I don't know what he looks like. I've never heard him speak. I want Jameis Winston here
Brandon
for the
Allen
sound clips.
Good. He's good to talk to for background and stuff like that. Very well understanding of this offense. But yeah, I mean, Jameis is like
just selfishly as someone who talks about the team every day, I would love some Jameis Winston sound bites.
And that's someone you talk about the drills that they do. Not that Jameis would have the coaches doing drills, but like you look at the drills that he's done a lot of things on the ball security side of things.
Right.
He's really invested in a two-handed monster, like moving within the pocket with two hands on the ball. That could only help Cam Ward.
I will say I don't know if Jameis Winston is the the end all be all of ball security though. 30-30 back in.
Well, yeah. No, we're talking about interceptions.
You
know what I mean? And even with that, man, like Bruce Arians was like, "Hey, man, rip it!" Like he had the green light of all green lights.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
I mean, it's fair. He put up numbers, and he always has put up numbers.
5,000 yards passing that year.
Was it the Browns Broncos game last year where he threw like 6 total touchdowns, but 2 of them were to the wrong team, and he had the "Please Lord deliver me from pick sixes" line after the game? One of the greatest quotes of all time. Oh man, Jameis Winston maybe getting the start for the New York Giants this week if Jackson Dart can't go. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. Titans back from the bye week. They are getting ready to take on the Houston Texans for the second time this season. Shutout 26-0 in Houston back in week 4. We'll see if the Titans offense can take a step forward after the off week. Coming up next, your chance to talk to TD. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. Get all of your questions in for Turron Davenport. Doesn't have to be Titans. It can be anything. He's got the Mets gear on today. If you have MLB free agency questions, we'll get to those too. Whatever you got, send them into our phone and text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. You can text or call. Chase and Big Joe will be broadcasting live at the all-new Circus Sportsbook Kentucky in the Mint Gaming Hall this Monday prior to the Monday Night Football game. The Monday night matchup is the Cowboys and the Raiders. Jake Lyman, Turron Davenport, Parker Kelly with you on this Thursday morning. Your chance to talk to TD coming up next. You're on Next Man Up, 102.5 The Game. Next man up, 102.5 The Game. Hour number 2 on this TD Thursday. Jake Lyman, Turron, Davenport, Parker Kelly, broadcasting live from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville Studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. It is 10 a.m. on a Thursday, which means it is your time to talk to TD. You can text or call our phone lines, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Get any questions you have for Turron in now. We've already got plenty on the text line, but get those in. We'll do these for the next 30 minutes. Let's start with Nevada Josh on the text line. Our weekly Xavier Restrepo segment here. TD, tell them Titans to catch the strep. Why are they acting like they're vaccinated? Do you think Xavier Restrepo could end up being activated at some point soon?
Here's the thing. Proche is running out of activations, right? So there's a possibility. I think the main thing is him not playing special teams. However, John Fossil did kind of hint at him getting involved there, but he said he's always going to lean towards the veteran, the guy who's already been there and done that. Calvin Ridley coming back, I don't know that would really allow for Restrepo. So that's my long way of saying not likely.
Yeah.
It just kind of is what it is. I'll tell you one thing, though. He's wearing 13 this week to kind of simulate Christian Kirk and continue to do that. Like, that's his contribution. And that's what he said. He's just going to go out, and his game days are every day. That's what it boils down to.
I think he's going to get a chance at some point this season, but especially with Ridley possibly coming back, and if you give me the choice of whether I want to see more Chimdike or get to see Xavier Restrepo a little bit, I want more Chimdike. I mean, that's a dude who has legit NFL speed. He's proven that he can be a playmaker on both offense and special teams. I would rather not have somebody looking over his shoulder and Xavier Restrepo. Let Chimdike roll it out there and continue to play. Ben on the text line says, based off what they have seen, most people have less confidence that Cam will be a franchise quarterback now than they did when he was drafted. What are your thoughts on that, TD?
I mean, look, you know what it is, right? We live in a society where everything is quick.
Yeah.
Patience is a virtue, but it's not really existent in this society. So naturally, if you're not seeing this immediately, you're going to say, hey, Patriots fans were saying similar things last year about Drake May, and this dude is about to set the record for completion percentage.
Yeah, there was
the Patriots rolling.
There was a cut up that got put out there by, might have been Titans Film Room on Twitter, somebody out there of, hey, here are all of Drake May's turnovers from his rookie year, and there are some awful ones in there. And that's not to say that Drake May didn't have flashes as a rookie. Mm-hmm. He did, but he also didn't win many football games, and he turned the ball over too much. They got him a better coach, Josh McDaniels, coming in, and he has at least elevated his game. And look at Drake May now. He may not be the MVP, but he's in the conversation.
Yeah, and my thing is this. You look, there are people who like are the complete and total opposite of patience, but they'll tell you, hey, Sam Darnold is a guy that you should sign. You know what Sam Darnold was in the beginning of his career?
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So it's just like, to form this opinion, and even though I didn't care for Sam Darnold whatsoever, I never called him a bust. I just was like, I just wonder how he'll be in the right situation. And he's in the right situation. It's like, okay, well, he's clearly not a bust. He's a good player, but he's not someone I would want leading my team because he withers in the clutch.
Right. The word bust is thrown around way too fast. And to be a bust, that's when you get moved on by, like, the team moves on from you. Josh Rosen is a bust. Like, I think that's a fair statement to say that he was a bust. But like Baker Mayfield, even when the Browns gave up on him, I still wouldn't have called him a bust. He got them to the playoffs. Like, there's a difference between a bust and a disappointment. And as of right now, you're looking at Cam Ward and saying, yeah, it's been disappointing based on what you expected from the number 1 overall pick at quarterback. But you can't be a bust 9 games into your career.
No, you can't, man.
Kind of in the same vein here, 0943 asks, what have you seen that is making Dart more successful than Cam Ward so far?
Has he really been more successful?
Statistically.
Okay. Stats, as Booger McFarland would say, are like bikinis. They show a lot, but not everything, right? So here's the deal. I think when you look at that, he's in a better offense, without a doubt, as far as like there's actually a scheme to it, and you got the coach playing to his strengths. Like, he's a running quarterback, so they're using that to his strengths. To his credit, though, Malik Neighbors is out of there, and he's still making it happen.
He is.
I am not going to take anything. Jackson Dart is playing. He's showing promise.
Yeah.
So is Cam Ward. Right. And so just because Jackson Dart is showing promise, it doesn't mean Cam Ward can't. I think really it boils down to just being in a better situation where a guy had already developed a quarterback and he was on his way to developing him to an extent, but you can't use him as a crash test. No.
Yeah, and if you look at the stats, it does look like that Jackson Dart is blowing Cam Ward out of the water with the amount of touchdowns that he's had. But you look at I remember seeing a touchdown a couple of weeks ago that he threw that hit a defender in the head and bounced to Theo Johnson, who ran it in for a touchdown. Not all touchdowns are created equal.
Yeah.
And he's had some bad interceptions. That Broncos game, I mean, he lobbed one right to is it Justin Stranad, the linebacker, threw it right in between the 4 and the 0 in his chest, and ended up costing them the game.
Yeah.
So that's two random examples, but just saying, Jackson Dart, yes, if you're box score watching, it looks like Dart has been head and shoulders above Cam Ward.
Yeah.
But you got to actually watch the games and see that Jackson Dart, yes, there's promise there, probably more promise than you'd expect from the 25th overall pick.
Mm-hmm.
But is he a guaranteed franchise quarterback? No.
Who and here's another thing about stats. All right. Who would you say is the best rapper of all time?
Yeah, I'm not the person to be asking this.
Okay. But generally people say Lil Wayne, Tupac, Biggie, Jay-Z, Nas.
I probably would have gone Jay-Z.
Okay.
There you go.
You know who sold the most records ever? Hip-hop wise? MC Hammer.
Wow.
You're not going to say he's the best. So, statistically,
right.
He's the best. But if you take and listen to the music, you're like, whoa, this doesn't belong on the same shelf as Reasonable Doubt, Illmatic, Ready to Die, etc. You know what I mean? So I think when you look at stats, you have to place context on it.
No, that's a very good point. And for Cam Ward, there can be some nuance here. It's not black and white of he's either the future franchise quarterback or he's a bust. It's in the middle. Right now, he's been disappointing, but he has the opportunity to develop into a future franchise quarterback. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. Your chance to talk to Turron. Davenport, let's go to our phone lines. Driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Teddy is on the line. Teddy, thanks for calling. What you got for TD?
Hey, guys. What's going on? Good morning. How y'all doing?
What's going
on?
Doing
great.
Good, great. All right, man. First thing I want to say is I'm about tired of everybody not wanting to have patience for this process that's happening. And I truly feel like if we had Peyton Manning, guys would even be upset. If you look at his rookie year, everything is all about patience and development. And it seems like due to what Jaden Daniels and C.J. Stroud did a couple of years ago, it's making everybody feel like, well, if you are drafted that high, this is what you're supposed to do. But if you look at what Jaden Daniels did, where he went his rookie year, veteran quarterbacks don't even get there to their 5th or their 5th year, So if you reach that success that early, it's hard to get back over there. And if you look at it, even from, was it Prescott his rookie year, how far he went, and man, what have the Cowboys been doing now? Not a lot. So everybody just need to have patience and watch this team grow slowly but surely. Because even if you say Cam has been bad, has everybody else been good? Nah, he's a rookie. And you're putting all the blame on a rookie who is supposed to come and everybody's supposed to help him, and you're putting the blame on him. Yeah, I'm about tired of it. So that was that. And the second part of this thing is the second half of the season, I'm ready to see him take a step. Let him see things like how we were playing the Texans this Sunday. He's seen the Texans defense before, so hopefully he can learn a thing or two, improve on a thing or two, and just keep going on that, building that, and, finish this season strong. Because if he finishes the season strong, that's a good thing for us. Yeah, they're saying tanking, but if I had it my way, I would want the young bucks to get some wins under his belt and get that feeling, and hopefully we can build on from that, man. Great calling in, guys. I hope you guys have a wonderful one.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Teddy.
Yeah,
it's
always good calls from Teddy.
Right,
man.
that's it's a very reasonable way to look at it. Yeah, he struggled, but you got to have patience. Best quarterbacks aren't made in a microwave, and It's funny. New York Doug makes me laugh every time he texts in. He's the one who says I have a pie in the face bet with him on who ends up being the better quarterback between Dart and Ward.
Okay.
He says that we are the equivalent with Cam Ward as Tom Cruise and John Travolta are with L. Ron Hubbard in Scientology. New York Doug, I respect the commitment here to the bit, but like again, you cannot develop a reasonable comparison of two rookie quarterbacks in less than 10 starts for both of them.
It's just not. Look, they both have shown flashes. I'll say that, but I'm not ready to sit. Look, I feel Cam Ward is a better prospect, a better player than Jackson Dart,
think,
but situation it matters so much.
Cam Ward has a higher ceiling. And you draft quarterbacks based on their ceiling because you don't draft a guy number 1 overall hoping that he turns into Kirk Cousins. Like, yeah, Kirk Cousins has been a consistently solid quarterback in the NFL, but you don't draft a quarterback first overall saying, man, I hope that this guy is a 10-year starter for us who gets us to the playoffs every once in a while, but never further than the divisional round.
Yeah,
you're looking for a guy who can win you a Super Bowl.
Exactly.
And I think Cam Ward has the ceiling to be an elite quarterback. Will he reach that ceiling? That's what we have to find out.
Yeah.
And right now he has not shown that he is close to that ceiling, but he's a rookie. He's got a long way to go. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. Again, your chance to talk to TD. Continue to get your questions in on our phone and text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. We got a couple of other good ones here on the text line. We have a couple people upset that you didn't mention Eminem as one of the best rappers of all time.
Because he's not.
It was Ben and Dustin from Hopkinsville both mentioned Eminem. So
yeah, because he's not.
We'll see what they have to say about that. Again, get your questions in.
Don't get me wrong, though. I'm an Eminem fan.
But
I like Eminem.
He's not. You wouldn't put him in that top tier?
No. I love Stan. Like Stan, I'll run that back 3-4 times. You know what I mean? Don't get me wrong, but he's just not.
I love it. We got off on a little tangent there. Continue to get your questions in, and they don't have to be football related. They can be anything. Get them in for TD. We'll get to more of them coming up next. Jake Lyman, Turron, Davenport, Parker Kelly. Next man up, 102.5 The Game. That's well done, Parker. Jake Lyman, Turron, Davenport,
Well
Parker
done.
Kelly. Next man up, 102.5 The Game. TD disrespecting Eminem in the last segment.
No, not that. I mean, to not mention someone as one of the GOATs, I don't think that's disrespect.
Said he wasn't in the conversation for best rapper of all time. That's gotten lots of interaction. Tommy says Lil Wayne is the best rapper of all time. Eminem is the best lyricist of all time.
Man, listen. Go ahead. Whoever said that, Google Big L. That's the best lyricist of all time.
All right.
He unfortunately got shot and killed, so he never reached his potential. But you ask any like true hip hop head, especially New York, Philly, Jersey, that corridor, they're gonna tell you, man, Big L was untouchable.
All right. I'm learning so much in this talk to TD.
This is what we do.
Justin from Greenbrier says TD hating on the hammer. He's too legit to quit, man. It's hammer time, and you can't touch this.
I ain't gonna lie. I was on the too legit to quit. Yeah, I was on that, man. Dion, that Falcons team, the old Falcons team. Yeah, man.
Dirty Birds.
Yeah, with Andre Rison, all them. Yeah, no doubt.
615-737-1025. Your chance to talk to TD. Let's go to our phone lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Adam from Portland is called in. Adam, thanks for calling. What you got?
Yeah, Eminem's one of the top three. Like you can just relax there, TD.
in your opinion, but I've listened to hip hop since it started, and yeah, he's not.
Yeah, I got you. Well, I used to love Lil Troy a lot more than anybody else too. So like he's way too high on my list. I think people are just whatever you like, man. What gets you going?
My man,
So
that's right.
Anyway, I don't care what they're pumping into these locker rooms. I need them to pump something in the Titans locker room that's going to fire this team up. And that's why I called you today, man, because I want to see. We got like a year and a half before we actually go into our cool stadium. And I was going to ask you if there's something you could do if you own the team and you're like, I've got to fix this. I've got to pump some life back into the fan base. Is there something that you could think that we could do right now to fix it?
Something to pump life back into the fan base. Adam, I win, but I mean, obviously that's not, the answer you're looking for.
Some of the fan base doesn't want this team to win.
Yeah. I'm talking about next year.
Yeah.
I think just play exciting football. That's really what it boils down to. Like, give fans a reason to cheer. Because even though this team is losing, like there have been times when I've felt the crowd, what's left of it, cheering when there's a good moment. But you got to just have those more consistently. What do you think of that, Adam?
I think Adam dropped,
Adam dropped.
But I think the one thing that you could do outside of actually winning on the football field, which of course is what energizes any fan base, is if you make a big splash with whoever you hire as your head coach, right? Like that. Get somebody who excites the fan base. I don't know if big splash always means big results, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just because it's a flashy name doesn't mean that he's actually going to have success. But if you did go out and it's never going to happen, but like John Gruden or something, I think that would excite some of the fan base. As the draft day quote, people pay to get wet. You want the splash, but I don't know if the splash actually would end up leading to a good head coach. Kyle in Shelbyville on the text line says, TD, if we trade out of the number 1 pick and keep a top 10 pick in this year's draft, he says, would you pick Keldrick Falk from Auburn or Jordan Tyson from Arizona State? I don't know if Falk would be at the top of my list for edge rushers.
Give me Arvell Reese.
Right. Arvell Reese has been the...
Like, we don't even have to talk about it.
He has been the guy who's rising up draft boards the fastest. He might be the number 1 overall player in this class.
That kind of juice that he brings, that's the type of stuff that Adam in Portland would be excited about.
Right.
Because, as a fan, I know because I did it. I remember back in the day, they drafted A.J. Jenkins out of Illinois, and I tried to talk myself into it. Didn't work. But still, when your team gets a player that does some exciting things, you're watching, you're like, ooh, yeah, and you get energized by that. So I think, that would be something else.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think there are things in the draft that you could do to energize the fan base. I know everybody pretty much wants a trade back at this point where you end up with the number 1 overall pick. You can deal that into a couple of firsts, a second, a third, and start to rebuild this roster from the top with a lot of top 100 draft picks. Getting tons of interaction about the rap discussion. I did not think we were going to go here of who the greatest rapper of all time is. 2133 says Nas was definitely a better lyricist than Big L.
Nas is up there. I'm not going to – hey, listen, Nas is up there. But since we're mentioning names, like you might as well put Jadakiss in there too, because Jada was a lyrical – like Jada will paint a picture for you. 213, look, you're not going to get much argument from me about Nas, but, man, just look up Big L freestyle to Jay-Z beat, and you're going to be like, oh, my – he ate Jay-Z up in his own cipher. Big L is that dude, man. Was that dude. Rest in peace, man.
Josh from Donaldson says, TD homie, Big L was no better than Tupac. I'd call him even. Marshall got both of them, though.
Next question or statement. You're not gonna come on here and keep it moving.
I have an underrated one. What about NF? NF's lyrics are very good.
I remember one of his songs from Madden back in the day.
I'm not saying he's the best, but he's got to be very underrated.
There's a lot of guys that are underrated, man. There's a lot. I want to see what Jeremiah thinks. Actually.
Yeah, let's go to Jeremiah on the phone line. Who do you have as the best rapper of all time, Jeremiah?
Dolomite. That's old school. In fact, Snoop Dogg said Dolomite is who inspired him to be the success he was.
Thank you for the call, Jeremiah. We're getting all the names in here.
Yes, sir. And I'll tell you what'll help the Titans real quick.
Help me.
Go ahead.
Man, they need to impeach the woman that owns the team.
Well, damn.
I don't know if you can impeach the owner, but
I think you can do that to presidents, but not
NFL
owners.
Jeremiah out here wilding.
There's no impeachment process.
Y'all have a good one, man.
Thanks, Jeremiah.
Appreciate you, man. He wilding in the morning, man. That's crazy.
Impeach.
Hey, listen, we talking about we got to go back too, since we're talking about rappers. Rakim, KRS-One, Big Daddy Kane. Those are also, from the 80s. Listen. Yeah.
We have found some great conversation. I mean, the text line is blowing up. 2133 says, TD, do you like Kevin Gates?
Hey, yo, 213 is all right with me. Kevin, that's my dog. That's one of the newer, I call him newer guys I like. Kevin Gates. There's some different ones that I like. Yeah, Gates is he was actually my most played artist in 2023.
We got Wes from Hermitage saying, TD, let me flex for a minute. Some of my music got the attention of Jadakiss and the attention of Tech 9. I really thought me and Tech were going to drop a song, and we still might in the future. Stay tuned. So, yeah.
All right, man. Stay tuned. Hey, DM me some of your tracks, man. Let me see what it's hitting for.
I don't know if Wes from Hermitage is your stage name, but let us know what you go by. We'll have to take a listen.
Hey, that could work.
Maybe we'll
Wes from Hermitage.
Wes from Hermitage. 2459 says Eric B. and Rakim and Andre 3000.
Yeah, Rakim. Oh, that's a good one.
I apologize.
Forgot about Andre 3000. That's a really good one. Great mention. And Rakim, that's what I just mentioned.
Right.
Is one of the best ever. Rakim, yeah, for sure. I love this, man. I love it. I love music. Music is so much of a part. Wait till I tell my older brother. I'm like, big bro, you would not believe what we talked about for a whole segment.
Right. We have completely gone away from football here.
Here's the promise I make to the Nashville community. No show in this town will have better music than this one. That's the promise.
That is true. Let's go back to our phone line. We can get back into some football because Steve is called in. Yeah, Steve, get us back on the rails here. What you got?
Hey, man, appreciate you taking my call. I was going to make a comment. A guy called in a while ago about, how to get some life back into the fan base. And, I've been a Titans fan since they came here. And what I've noticed the most is just an overall winning culture. We've lost that in the locker room. We've lost it in our coaches. It comes from the organization from top down. And I think we're going to have to get the right coach in here that's going to instill that back into us. The players have just kind of lost all, for the most part, what I can tell, lost all kind of sense of a winning culture. You see it with big programs like Baltimore, just teams where you still feel like the culture is still there, and we've lost that from the 90s, and the 2000s. There was something holding that there. I think Floyd Reese was a big part of that. I think having Jeff Fisher in there, just a lot of your guys that instilled that and kept that together, they were the glue. And we just been missing that. I feel like Vrabel could have been that, but they butted heads up there, and we've got to get the right people. That's just my comment.
Yeah, thank you for the call, Steve. I think that it's exactly what Mike Borgonzi said, is that they need to get somebody who's going to build a culture here, who's going to come in and be a leader. I think the difference this time is because you had that in Vrabel. Vrabel was a leader. He was able to get the most out of his team. But Steve's right that he couldn't work with other people very well. I know we hate the word around here, but collaboration, it wasn't there. You need to find that happy medium of, yes, a guy who's going to come in and he's going to be an alpha dog and he's going to come in and lead this locker room, but also is willing to work with Mike Borgonzi for whatever is the best thing for this Titans team.
And in addition to that, you need to have the players who pass on the tradition, right? And the tradition has to be clear and obvious. Like you look at the Ravens, right? You had Ray Lewis and Ed Reed, right? And then they passed it down. Terrell Suggs, Haloti Ngata carried it forward to CJ Mosley. And then, John Harbaugh just kind of like encompassed it. And you had other players, I can't think of off the top of my head who to point to that continue to carry on. But the point is, you got a guy that you could point to now and say, hey, look, like that's the epitome of being a Titan. And that's Jeffrey Simmons.
Yep.
But you need more, right? And you got to continue to pass that down. But first and foremost, you need to establish, like, what is it to be a Titan?
Yeah.
Like you say, play like a Raven, it's hard nosed.
Right.
I don't know if I can say it to the wall, that. And then also like, just a strong defensive team, rugged football where you want to come away, you were in a fight. And that's the kind of like, what is the identity for this team?
Great stuff from everybody on the text and phone lines for Talk to TD today. We got off the rails, we got back on the rails, but man, everybody had some great thoughts, whether it was about football or about hip hop or whatever it is. So appreciate all the interaction. We couldn't get to all of the questions out there. We will try and get to some of them later on in the show if we can. But coming up next, Andrew Allegretta from Vanderbilt football going to join us. Vandy with an overtime win over Auburn on Saturday. They head into the bye week this week. We'll talk to Andrew coming up next. Jake Lyman, Turron, Davenport, Parker Kelly, next man up, 102.5 The Game. Next man up, 102.5 The Game. Jake Lyman, Turron, Davenport, Parker, Kelly with you on this Thursday. And it's now time to go to our phone lines, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, as we are joined by Andrew Allegretta, the voice of Vanderbilt football, for his weekly visit to the program. Vanderbilt now 8-2, the 14th ranked team in the country. Andrew, thanks for taking some time. Hope you're enjoying the start to your weekend off. And congratulations on another win last week.
Congratulations to the women's basketball team on a nice win last night, by the way.
Yes, 3-0, and get a weekend off as well before going up to Western Kentucky next Wednesday. Andrew, that game against Auburn, even Clark Lee said it in his post-game press conference, that is not the way that he expected that game to go. It's an Auburn offense that had struggled, but under a new head coach, a new offensive play caller, they were able to unlock something. Vanderbilt had to come back in that game, and it may not have been pretty, but it is important for Vanderbilt to learn how to win those games late because that's what you're going to have to do if you're going to find your way into the playoffs.
And there's also probably another element there too, Jake, which Norm touched on at the end of the broadcast. I'm sure he touched on it with you in the postgame. It's like they know for sure now in the past 2 weeks with Texas and with Auburn, they can just give Diego Pavia the football and say, win us a football game. The conventional wisdom for the better part of the season was it's a ball control offense. You're going to have to convert on third downs. It has to be 3rd down and 3. The rushing yards have to be good. And, you know, if you get outside of that lane, it's going to be tricky for Vanderbilt. Well, versus Texas versus Auburn, they got outside of that lane and they put up 30-some-odd points versus a very good Texas defense and 45 points versus an Auburn defense, which you can look at the records all you want. That's an elite unit in Auburn's defense, and they just dropped 45.
Yeah, the offense has been fantastic the last couple of weeks. The defense, on the other hand, do you have any concerns about that group? It was a Texas offense that had struggled to find much consistency, and they put up 34. Auburn had just put up 3 against Kentucky. They put up 38 against Vanderbilt. Do you think it was more, hey, we just need to get into this bye week and reset, kind of running out of gas? Or do you think there are any legitimate concerns as we head to the final 2 games of the regular season?
Well, there's probably some validity to just kind of the fatigue and wear and tear of the season. Clark has talked about that to the team. He's talked about it in the press conference about kind of the fog and the haze and the intensity that a season can create, right? Like they talked about back in January, defining what they wanted their season to be. And that's one of those things that's easy to do in January. But then you get into the heart of the schedule and you actually have to do those things in the moments. That separates championship teams from teams that go 500, but there's still a fatigue factor there. So I'm sure that's part of it. Now, the other part of it is I've always heard the phrase that styles make fights. I think there's probably a button that Auburn can push and a button that Texas can push with their perimeter skill set, which is something that Vanderbilt is going to have to continue to address throughout the course of the season. Kentucky's it's still an SEC team. So we'll see what happens in that game. But Tennessee certainly has the athletes on the perimeter to give Vanderbilt some problems. One of the things that Vanderbilt has been able to do to sort of mitigate potentially the fact that a Cam Coleman or a Wingo or whoever it happens to be on the outside can expose you was getting a lot of pressure. That pressure does a little bit the defensive line. So we'll see if they can get back to that. It's dovetailed a little bit through their blitz packages. I think one of the things that Steve Gregory would tell you is a level of wanting them to be in 3rd down and 8s and 3rd down and 9s a little bit more so they can get to their exotic blitz pressures. They haven't been able to do that quite as much because Texas and Auburn kind of stayed ahead of the chains with some of their athleticism on the perimeter. So I don't know if I'm raising some sort of gigantic red flag. I think there's some things in the matchup that Auburn and Texas can do that perhaps a Missouri couldn't do, perhaps an LSU couldn't do, perhaps a South Carolina couldn't do, and then just the wear and tear of the season. There's probably both of those things colliding.
Now, Andrew, as you look at the big picture of this and the rankings sit here and they fall into place, do you think Vanderbilt is kind of falling victim to, I don't want to say a bias, but like hey, it's not as big of a product when you look at them being behind other 2-loss teams despite their strength of schedule?
I don't know. That's a question for the guys inside the committee room. I think what was interesting today, and I've got to delve more into it, I just saw maybe like a half an hour before jumping on with you guys, that Mac Rose, who chaired the committee, is stepping aside for some personal reasons, the Baylor athletic director. I know we all kind of felt a little bit squishy about his explanation with Utah and Notre Dame ahead of Vanderbilt. I was listening to the previous segment too, where you talked about stats. Stats get messy, guys, because, you referenced the Booger McFarland quote. There's a quote that is attributed to Vin Scully. I don't actually know if he said it, about stats being like a lamppost for the intoxicated. You use it for support, not for elimination.
Oh, I like that one.
Yeah, and I don't know if that's actually Vin Scully or if that's just one of those things that you read on a quote that has Vin Scully's name at the bottom. I don't know. I am intrigued by how they have pieced that together. And I don't know. I sit back here and I think we can have a little bit of heartburn about the placement of Vanderbilt with 2 football games left for the doors. I sit here hopeful and optimistic that if you take care of your business, the last image the committee is going to have is you going into a freakishly hostile Neyland Stadium against a good Tennessee team and getting a victory, if that's how it's going to play out. Now, if Vanderbilt doesn't take care of its business, the conversation we have right now doesn't matter at all, PD. So I am optimistic that sitting at 10-2, coming off a win versus Tennessee, again, this is how it would have to play out, is a pretty loud statement. And I don't know if Utah can make that statement down the stretch. Mm-hmm. We'll see what happens with Notre Dame versus Pittsburgh. I mean, that's probably a slightly underrated Pittsburgh team that has typically been, plucky and feisty and pretty solid under Pat Narduzzi. We'll see what plays out. I think Andy Staples said something yesterday on one of their podcasts, like everybody expects chalk at this point in the season. Like, of course the team that's ranked 13th or 14th will keep winning. What happens? It's not usually chalk. So let's see where it goes. I'm a little bit twitchy on some of the current explanations, but the explanation is absent a 10-2 Vanderbilt team that would be coming off a win versus Tennessee, if that's how it plays out.
Yeah, and I'll tell you this, man. You didn't mention them, but I take a 2-loss Vandy team over a 1-loss BYU team. That's just me. But that being said, the reason why I would do that is because I feel like their schedule is vicious. So I want to ask you, just from you being around them and seeing them, how much do you think like this tough schedule has kind of weathered them to be successful down this stretch?
Yeah, good question. I think what's interesting about a lot of it is people are discounting the toughness of Vanderbilt's schedule. I was listening to the College Game Day podcast the other night too, and there was kind of a shrug at Vanderbilt's schedule because how do we do the evaluations? Like, does Vanderbilt have 3 top 15 victories, which at the time the game was played, they sure were, South Carolina, Missouri, and LSU. Or does Vanderbilt have none because all of a sudden South Carolina struggles, LSU has gone through their problems. I still think Missouri's a pretty darn good team, but now they've got a backup quarterback. Like, how do you go through all of that? I certainly think that you are still talking about week in and week out facing the depth and the skill set of elite SEC athletes, which is really difficult. I think, kind of to Jake's point, at the start of this, the past month or so has proven to Vanderbilt that they can execute victories in lots of different ways. And it's helped teach them that they can push buttons that maybe they didn't expect to push at the start of the season. If they need to push the Diego Pavia hero button, they can, because they did versus a great Auburn team. If they need to go 3-3 at halftime versus Missouri and win a slugfest, they can. I don't know, guys. I mean, there's been a lot of different variety to the games of Vanderbilt football. So I think if anything, the season has shown them that they've got the toughness, they've got the resiliency, and they've got the flexibility to be effective in a lot of different games.
Andrew, last one for you here. Diego Pavia right in the mix for the Heisman Trophy. And 2 weeks ago, the counter to his campaign was, he doesn't match up statistically with some of the other candidates. Well, that's not the case after the last 2 weeks. I would argue that nobody in the race pushes their team forward more than Diego Pavia. Just how impactful has he been the last few weeks when, right, your defense struggles, you have to put the ball in his hands, and he's been able to execute pretty much every single time?
Well, that's a lovely tee that you just put that ball on for me, Jake. That's
There you
very
go. You're
kind and
welcome.
delightful for you. Look, again, there's a lot of really good contenders for the Heisman. It's an interesting season in which there is not this far and away crazy statistical season from a Joe Burrow or whatever that sort of trumps any other argument. Statistically, and it's 2 weeks, right? I'm not arguing that 2 weeks defines a Heisman campaign. But the past 2 weeks, Diego Pavia has more statistical production than any other contender or legitimate contender in the Heisman race. That's more than Sayin, pass yards, rush yards, touchdowns. It's more than Mendoza, pass yards, rushing yards, touchdowns. It's more than Reed, passing yards. Reed and Pavia the past 2 games have the exact same number of rushing yards, and Pavia's got more touchdowns. Welcome to the land of subjectivity, where you get to define what the word best player in college football means, quote unquote best. So have fun with that, because everyone's going to slice that apple differently. But I know all of us that live here in Nashville has watched Diego Pavia elevate a program with Clark Lee, with Tim Beck, with Jerry Kill, literally infect the entire locker room with confidence, which is what it needed, and then is able to put up statistics against guys not just good but great defenses in Texas and Auburn. I don't know if he's going to win, but the argument that I would continue to make is, like, goodness, he has got to be sitting in a seat in a tux in New York City in December. Like, I don't. He has done everything in some fashion that you would want a great college football player to do to define best player in college football. And if Clark Lee is in the locker room telling the entire team after the Auburn game, the game ball goes to your Heisman Trophy front runner, Diego Pavia. I mean, I get that he's biased and we're all biased, but that's a pretty loud statement. We'll see where the next 2 games go. The part of this that you've just got to be honest with is wins and losses matter. If those toes from Cooper end up out of bounds and Indiana loses its first game, I mean, we're not having the same conversation about Mendoza, but now you get to tell this story about what a heroic comeback. And, the hero leads his team to victory despite all of the odds because a toe from Cooper came down the right way. So Vanderbilt's got to win football games, and he's going to have continued elevated performances versus both Kentucky and Tennessee. And again, I tend to think that if they go down the stretch and play well versus Kentucky and Tennessee, he's got good games, and you get this kind of resounding image in your head of Vanderbilt going 10-2 with Pavia as a victor in Neyland Stadium, which is going to be brutally difficult. But if you've got that image to finish things off, I tend to think he sits in New York City somewhere in December.
100% agree. Andrew, as always, appreciate you coming on. Excited for the final couple games of the year, and hope you enjoy your weekend off.
Thank you. By the way, go Vanderbilt soccer. A quick
Yes.
plug for the first round NCAA tournament at home on Friday. Best of luck to them. Number 1 seed.
Yes, thank you for making that point. We had Darren Ambrose on earlier in the week. 7:00 kick against Tennessee Tech on Friday. So excited to see them try and make a run through the NCAA tournament. Thanks, Andrew. We'll talk to you next week.
Thanks, guys.
Andrew Allegretta, voice of Vanderbilt football. Commodores off this weekend, 8-2 on the year. They turn their attention to Kentucky next weekend. We'll react to what Andrew had to say coming up next and wrap up hour number 2. Jake Lyman, Turron, Davenport, Parker Kelly. Next man up, 102.5 The Game. The greatest hip-hop artist of all time, at least statistically, right? Jake Lyman, Turron, Davenport, Parker Kelly, next man up 102.5 The Game.
Go by stats.
We have opened up a Pandora's box with the discussion of who the greatest rapper and greatest lyricist of all time is.
Yeah.
We've gotten so many texts about this. It was great having Andrew Allegretta on from Vanderbilt Football. We didn't ask him his thoughts.
Yeah, I would have liked to gotten his.
I do know Andrew. I believe his favorite artist of all time is John Mayer.
Okay.
So he's a big John. Maybe he throws John Mayer's. Mayer's greatest lyricist of all time.
Belvis Delfield on the chat. I forgot about Scarface. I went to see him right at Brooklyn Bowl.
Really?
Playing tricks on me, Murder Avenue. Yeah, Scarface. Yeah, he was Smile. Yeah.
Yeah, the names, I read them off to you about all of the different names that we've got. We couldn't get to all of them in that segment, but Method Man, Gangstar.
The Guru, that was my dad's favorite rapper.
Yeah.
You mentioned Method Man. Like, I should slap myself in the face for not mentioning Wu-Tang. Raekwon. Raekwon in the 90s, Raekwon, the Purple Tape, only built for Cuban Links, a straight-up street anthem, man. Raekwon, Ghostface. Oh man, we could go on and on.
We really could. I mean, I'm looking through. There's probably 15 other names that have been mentioned, but this is a sports show. We can only spend so much time.
Recalibrate.
We were talking to Andrew, and I thought you had a good question about the way that Vandy is being ranked.
Yeah, it's like they
against
don't trust
other two-loss teams. And me and Corey Curtis got into it yesterday because I said that a 10-2 Vanderbilt has a better resume than a 10-2 Notre Dame, and he didn't agree with me. He thought that their wins were equal and that, they lost on the last play of the game against Texas A&M. But I look at it as all of the losses between those two teams are in the top 15. There are no bad losses for either team. In fact, both of Vandy's losses are top 10 teams in the country right now. Vandy's wins stack up better than Notre Dame's wins. And the committee basically came out yesterday, and I know Mac Rhodes just stepped down, so it was his explanation, but he said that they view Notre Dame as a complete team, basically saying that based on the eye test, we think Notre Dame is better than Vanderbilt. But if you're looking at what they've actually done on the field, Vanderbilt's wins are more impressive than Notre Dame's wins.
Yeah, I agree. I think you hit the nail on the head just when you mentioned the Alabama and Texas loss. So let's just look at that. Both of those teams are top 10. So for me, in addition to playing in a rugged SEC, I'm not, biased towards the SEC, so to speak. But like, you got to call a spade a spade. That's a tough game. They just played an Auburn team that would probably beat, some of these teams that you're mentioning,
right?
Especially, and caught them in that type of situation where you have a coach that was fired and they came in with their hats on fire and they did what they thought they had to do, but it just came up short.
No, I mean, and Auburn maybe isn't the example of like that's a marquee win for Vanderbilt, but LSU is still a really talented team.
Yeah.
They were a top 10 team in the country when Vanderbilt played them. Missouri still has only 3 losses this season. If you beat Tennessee at the end of the year, that's another win against a likely ranked team. Notre Dame's best wins this year, USC, which I would say is a better win than anything Vanderbilt has right now. They're currently top 20 in the country, but their second best win would be Arkansas or Boise State or NC State. It's like Navy, like these teams aren't on the same level as the game in, game out opponents that Vandy plays in the SEC.
But see, that's my point, and that's why I mentioned the Auburn game. That's supposed to be a game. Oh, Vandy's going to win that.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm not saying that's a prime win for them, but it's a good example of how tough the schedule actually is, right? Because, again, that's they're going to win that game. That's what you say when you look at the schedule.
Right.
And look at how tough it was.
Yeah. No, it's the SEC is a meat grinder, and it's like you don't get a week off. I'm sorry, but Notre Dame playing Syracuse and Stanford down the stretch, like that's not the same as playing Missouri and LSU and Texas. And I think, and we're getting brand is what everybody's saying on the text line, brand bias. Justin from Greenbrier says it's the helmets, the shiny gold helmets are distracting the college football playoff committee. It's just
blinded by the light, huh?
the committee has basically already made the precedent that a 2-loss Notre Dame would get in over a 2-loss Vanderbilt. So nothing's going to change there. But I do hope that, let's say, you mentioned it, BYU. If BYU wins out and loses in the Big 12 championship game and Utah wins out and goes 10-2, I really hope that they view Vanderbilt's win over Tennessee as enough to leapfrog them, because BYU's best win is against Utah. Like the Big 12 just does not have enough talent to view and say that going 11-1 in that league is more impressive than going 10-2 in the SEC.
Call it like it is, man.
Anyway, plenty to get to. More football to play, of course, around college football. So Vandy still has to take care of business. You got to go beat Kentucky. You got to go beat Tennessee. But I would hope at the end of the year, Vanderbilt would be in with that record. And you got some scoreboard watching to do this weekend, rooting against Notre Dame, rooting against Oklahoma, rooting against Texas this weekend. If those three teams lose, then there's really no, I don't think there would be any kind of issue for Vanderbilt to get in at 10-2.
Yeah.
615-737-1025 is the phone number. Back to the Titans after this. We're going to get into the defense a little bit. Quandre Diggs no longer on the team. Kevin Winston going to step into more of a big role. We'll talk about that coming up next. Jake Lyman, Turron, Davenport, Parker Kelly, next man up, 102.5 The Game. Final hour, next man up, 102.5 The Game. Jake Lyman, Turron, Davenport, Parker, Kelly with you on this Thursday, broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. Back into the Titans here in hour number 3. The move this week, Quandre Diggs and the Titans mutually agree to part ways. Diggs coming in for his second season with the Titans. He's Cam Ward's cousin and was able to fill in as Kevin Winston was getting his legs under him at the NFL level, working his way back from the knee injury he suffered last year. But Winston now ready to step into a bigger role, and I'm excited to see him out there. This is a Titans defense that you don't have a whole lot of young pieces on that side that you can build around, and Winston is certainly one of the guys that you believe will be a piece of this team moving forward. If he hadn't been injured, there's a chance that he was a first or second round pick instead of where the Titans got him in the third.
Yeah, no, and they were able to manufacture a pick and get him, moving back the way they did. And I think that was a good move for them. And he is going to be back out there. And I will say he did have a wrap or like a form of tape on his leg yesterday. I think he was a full participant. I want to say, I don't recall if he showed up on the injury report. I can't think of it off the top of my head, but I will say this: he's an exciting young player that plays with violence, and he gives you versatility. And, he should help from a variety of ways, matching up against tight ends. Dalton Schultz, he had a big game. You know what I mean? He's a big part of the offense. So that's going to be a good matchup to see.
Kevin Winston was not listed on the injury report, so full participant yesterday. That's good to see. It felt like a similar situation to Tyler Lockett, where you brought in this veteran guy to have as a placeholder for the young guy that you brought in. And once Chim Dike started to overtake Tyler Lockett and the Titans mutually agreed to part ways. And the same thing happens with Quandre Diggs. I think this is the better thing for the team. Yes, Diggs was a fine player, but you need to see what you've got in Kevin Winston now that he's fully healthy.
Yeah, and here's the thing, because I called Quandre soon after the news broke. And, look, it was one of those situations where you got 4 safeties. Like, it's hard to get into the flow of the game.
Yeah.
And he's a guy that's trying to, still put good tape out there. And obviously there were a couple miscommunications, et cetera, and things that happen. And, to the naked eye, there was one that was his fault, but it was actually someone else's.
Right.
Whatever. But the point is that he just was like, man, look, I'm in the way here. You know what I mean? I don't like the way this is happening. I, kind of felt like it was not working for all of us.
Yeah.
So I'm going to pull myself out. And that's basically what happened.
Yeah, and it makes sense. I think you can read the writing on the wall of he wasn't going to be around next year. Yeah. It's not like Quandre Diggs was somebody the Titans were viewing as a future piece of this team. And Kevin Winston is expected to be. And I think he's looked good in the limited opportunities that we've gotten to see him, but now you get to see him in that big nickel spot when they play 3 safeties. And who knows, maybe towards the end of the year, he starts getting in there over Xavier Woods at times too. It is just important to start to see. We have the conversation almost every week of who is going to be part of the solution here in Nashville. Like what players do you have right now that you feel like can be part of a winning team down the road? Winston is one of the names that we mentioned because you spent a top 100 pick on him. He clearly has promise. Now you finally get to go see that out on the field, and we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, and I think that's really what it boils down to. Get him out there on the field, get to see him just get some significant snaps. Because I remember talking to him from start 1 to start 2, and he was like, it was just good to get out there and run around and get the feel for the speed and just get that comfort level. And that's something we saw from last year to this year with Cedric Gray. So it's always good if you could get those early reps. And in this case, like it's always high pressure with the league. Don't get it twisted. But in this case, it's like, okay, you know what? Everything's bad anyway. Yeah. So man, just go out and play free. Ball.
Yeah. And we've seen Cedric Gray step into that role after missing most of last season. This is a very different looking defense than what we had at the beginning of the year here in Nashville. Yeah. All 3 of your starting cornerbacks are either gone or not playing. L'Jarius Sneed obviously is on injured reserve. So you've got 3 different starting cornerbacks. You've traded away Draymond Jones, who is one of your starting edge rushers. Now Quandre Diggs is gone. So it's a very different looking defense, but it's a young defense. And you're giving some of these guys a chance to prove themselves. Marcus Harris is a good example that with Roger McCreary gone, now you get to see what the 6th round pick looks like in the slot. And I don't think he was horrible against the Chargers in that first start that he made. And we'll see what he can do here coming up against Houston.
Yeah, he had a nice pass breakup on the 3rd down. Lad McConkey on a crossing route, he broke it up. So you're right. I mean, a lot of opportunities to get young players some significant snaps, at least for them, but not for the record, so to speak. But you're right, 100%.
Right. And the one thing you wish you could do is have Femi Oladejo in 2 to continue to see what these young guys can do, because that is important for what the Titans are going to plan to do this offseason. Of what holes do you think you need to fill, and where do you think there are promising young players who can step in? Not saying that they're going to go try and replace Femi Oladejo this offseason, but it'd be nice if he came out and was healthy and you started to see promise down the stretch and you're like, all right, that's one edge that we feel great about. Now we can go work on the other one. At this point, I still feel like the Titans, yes, you probably need to draft an edge, but you might have to bring in some more veteran presence as well.
Yeah, I think you do both, right? You draft and you bring in veteran presence. Do you bring back Arden Key? I mean, I would consider it, at the right price. Why not? You know what I mean? And let him get into that more situational role that I think he's better fitted for. But with Femi Oladejo, he's no longer on the scooter or the crutches.
Right.
I saw him walking through the locker room without it. So that's a positive sign of progress.
So it's been 5 weeks now since he got hurt?
Yeah.
So
it was the Raiders game, right?
Yes, that sounds right. So yeah, that was week 6. We're going into week 11. So yeah, it's been 5 weeks. So I would doubt he's back before December, but maybe you start to get him back for that last month of the season.
And on a good note, you know what I mean? Get him some reps and some opportunities to, continue to work on his game and those types of things in game action, and then carry it into the offseason. And we talked earlier about these rookies, and you were talking about Aya Manor, and we talked about how it's tough right now.
Yeah.
You mentioned the combine training, all that.
Right.
This is a thing. Like, none of these guys got to actually train for a football season.
Right.
This past year was a totally different training process than they've done in quite some time, because when you're training for football, it's different. Doing this type of stuff, you're streamlining everything. It's all based on speed, and that's it. And it's a different type of training.
Right. And you don't get that break after football season. It's like the combine is, for some of these guys, if you're playing in the playoffs, it's a month after your season ends and you've got to go, and then you're going in and doing visits. It's a whirlwind for these guys. And I think a lot of these rookies, it's kind of just, hey, can we get through it? Like, can we just get through this year, gain some valuable experience, and see if we can come back next year and take a big step forward? So that's the hope for these Titans rookies heading into year 2. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. We'll take your thoughts on the Titans here in the 3rd hour. We'll keep talking about the defense on the other side. We'll also get into the offensive line before we get out of here. Jake Lyman, Turron, Davenport, Parker Kelly, next man up, 1025 The Game. Next man up, 102.5 The Game. Jake Lyman, Turron, Davenport, Parker Kelly with you on this Thursday.
Started talking trouble in the neighborhood.
I love it.
So
We're
you with your auntie and uncle to Bel Air.
I gotta say, I have not watched this show all the way through. I've seen episodes, but I've always wanted to go back and watch Fresh Prince all the way through, but I've never actually gone through and done it. I don't know where it's streaming is the big thing.
I think it was on Peacock.
I gotta find it somewhere.
Yeah, I mean that was a great show, man. I tell you what, you want to hear his real rap. He got a song called Brand New Funk. Look up Will Smith and Jazzy Jeff.
All right.
It's on Hulu and Disney Plus.
There it is.
Okay, there we go.
I can promise it'll be better than 911 Nashville.
Yes, it will.
I watched episode 2 of that yesterday. I was thinking this morning, like, you know what? That hour that I spent last night, I probably should have spent reading my book. Think Like a Monk.
There's a whole lot of better things you could spend an hour on than 911 Nashville. I still find myself watching it though.
I just watched one scene.
It's your city,
right?
You know
I want to see how they portray Nashville, and it's really funny. You've watched the first 2 episodes?
Yeah, the first 2.
Yeah, the girl flying away on the kite.
Yeah, that was wild. Did you see the baby delivery? Like that?
Yeah, that was crazy too.
Yeah. Anyhow,
maybe that's every time that the next time that I'm like, maybe I should watch 911 Nashville. I'll just turn on the Fresh Prince anyway.
There you go. And look, to bring it to the Titans, Fresh Prince. Jonnu Smith was a literal Fresh Prince, not of Bel Air, but he grew up in Philly, and some things happened, and he got sent to Florida.
Wow,
to live with his aunt and uncle. So you want a real life Fresh Prince?
Well, maybe they're related. Jonnu and Will Smith.
Yeah, right.
615-737-1025 is the phone number. If you want to text or call, our phone line's driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Continuing on the Titans defense here, we talk about some of the young pieces they've got. Kevin Winston going to step into a bigger role this week with Quandre Diggs no longer on the team. Marcus Harris has slid into a bigger role with Roger McCreary being traded. We mentioned Cedric Gray, the year that he's had. Excited to have a young piece in the middle of that defense. And it always comes back to T'Vondre Sweat of what is he going to be? You spent a borderline first-round pick on him, and overall the returns have not been what you hoped for. I know you asked Mike Borgonzi specifically about T'Vondre Sweat and couldn't quite get a great answer. Or no, Mike McCoy. You asked Mike McCoy about T'Vondre Sweat on Monday. Just kind of like, as you've expanded your role from just the offense to the head coach, what have you learned about T'Vondre Sweat? And you kind of got a non-answer from him.
Definitely a non-answer. I was like, come on, man. And I even tried to come back afterwards and be like, well, what about Sweat specifically? It's going to happen sometimes, but I think it's important that they do something to get this guy going and to be able to continuously pair him with Jeffrey Simmons.
Yeah, and you might get to see them out there at the same time for the first time this year, except for a handful of snaps in the Broncos and the Patriots games. Yep. But if Jeff Simmons can come back, maybe you finally get that tandem in the middle that you said you were building your entire defense around, and so far they have not been able to line up quite yet. We got a text on the text line from Dustin in Hopkinsville. It says, you bring back anything that can block, tackle, or catch. Too many holes to let go of good players. And that made me think of Jihad Ward.
Oh, he needs to be back.
Okay.
Yeah,
that was my question. Do you think the Titans bring him back?
Yes, he's a talented player, and you need more talent. He was a former second-round pick.
Yeah.
This guy is talented. It just, I think, God bless Denard Wilson. I don't know if he's going to be back or not. I think if it's an offensive-minded coach, you definitely have to, head coach it is, you have to consider that. But, there seems to be a match there with, him playing in Denard Wilson's scheme. Like you're starting to see somewhat of a spark for him.
Yeah, he has definitely been a diamond in the rough that the Titans just brought in off the street after Lorenzo Carter unexpectedly retired at the beginning of training camp, and he has made some plays for this team. And in edge group next year, if you come back with Femi, Jihad Ward, Jalen Harrell, and then a first or second round pick in this year's draft and kind of a mid-range free agent, that can make that a huge upgrade from what you had at the beginning of this year to next year. Because Arden Key's not going to be back. You've already traded away Draymond Jones.
Yeah.
You do need to revamp that room. But if Jihad Ward and Jalen Harrell can maybe be your depth pieces, that allows you to build from the top if you can go get, whether it's a first-round pick like an Arvell Reese or a Ruben Bain or somebody else in the second round, if you can continue to amass draft capital.
Yeah, and I think Reese, to me, is going to depend on, like, what type of scheme. You know, if you do, you know, out front, you got stand-up rushers, I absolutely. But, you know, if you're going to be, you know, 4 men with their hand in the dirt,
right?
I don't know that I go Reese, you know what I mean? Or
Yeah.
I just try to figure it out and, you know, see how I could fit him in there. But it's going to really depend on, like, who's coaching the defense.
I did see a text earlier about Arvell Reese because we did mention him, and the texter asked if he could be the next Micah Parsons. And I think that's the comparison that's going to get thrown around because he isn't at Ohio State. He isn't used as just your straight up edge rusher, you know, rushing the passer on every play. That's how Micah Parsons was used at Penn State was, hey, he was an inside linebacker who could come off the edge. Maybe that's what teams would be looking for with Arvell Reese, of a guy who you can transition to more of a pure pass rusher role.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's really the main thing is getting that guy in there that fits your scheme, you know, but it has to be a game changer. And
right.
To me, that's why Reese over Bain, to me, because if you watch every Ohio State game, you feel Reese.
Yeah.
You don't feel Bain the same
strength
as you feel
from Reese is,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and you feel his presence.
But it's good to see that there's options at the top of the draft for a lot of the big positions that the Titans need to fill. You only have 3 top 100 picks right now. You'd love to be able to trade back and get an extra first and extra second so you can go edge, wide receiver, cornerback, and immediately fill 3 premium positions. I know I hate talking draft this early, but I would hope the Titans, if they do end up with the number 1 pick, don't trade back too far.
Yeah,
like I know
you can't afford it. Like, you still need premier players. Like, you need to come away with at least one of the best players in this draft.
Yes. And I think it will help the Titans if they do end up with the top pick, that a lot of the teams that they're battling for the top pick with, they all need quarterbacks. The Saints, the Jets, the Browns, like, they all could be in the market to come up and get a quarterback. And it would be, I mean, dream scenario for the Titans is you get the first pick. Let's say the Jets are picking 3rd. You swap with them. The Saints are in the middle. They take a quarterback. So you get maybe 2 first-round picks from the Jets this year, and you still get to take the best non-quarterback in the draft. Like, that's dream scenario for the Titans.
Yes, exactly.
And you're going to have to lose a lot to get to there. And Justin from Greenbrier on the text line says, I will be excited if this Titans team makes some progress the last half of the season. I'm tired of watching bad football. Give us some life from this team, and the heck with your draft pick number. I think there's a way to get a little bit of both, right? Like, show some progress. Maybe your young guys can win a game for you here and there. But as we saw on Sunday, the other bad teams are going to find a way to win a couple of games here and there too.
It's going to happen. And maybe they find a way to win too, the Titans, like they did against the Cardinals, you know, but who knows, man? And I think you just got to let the chips fall where they may.
The further we get from that Cardinals game, the crazier it is that they've won that game. Like, and I know that the Jaguars blew a bigger 4th quarter lead on Sunday than the Cardinals did in that game by 1 point. The Jags blew a 19-point lead. The Cardinals blew an 18-point lead. But really, the Cardinals blew a 25-point lead because they were an inch and a half from going up 28-3 in that game. I mean, I still cannot believe the Titans found a way to win that game. And man, they really should be 0-9 right now. They should be.
Yeah, they should be, because that was one. I mean, think about what happened. Like, the ball being dropped.
It's like
and then the double, like, Lockett falling. Like, that's crazy.
And people don't even talk about the Kyler Murray snap off the face mask that almost got him concussed.
Right. Yeah, it's crazy.
I mean, I look back and I'm just like, man, that is one of the craziest ways to win a football game ever. And again, give credit, the Titans, they had given away plenty of those games where the other team was trying to hand it to you. They found a way to win the game, but man, if they were 0-9 right now, they'd be in premium position to get the number 1 pick.
Yeah.
615-737-1025 is the phone number. Titans with plenty of holes to fill this upcoming offseason. Right now, they are in position to get the number 1 pick. One of the holes that I wanted to talk about is the offensive line, because there's been a whole lot invested into this offensive line, and it's still not performing to the level that you would want it to. So where do the Titans go from here with some really intriguing pieces, but still maybe some spots that they'd want to upgrade with their limited draft capital and what they've got in free agency? 615-737-1025 is the phone number. We'll talk about it coming up next. Jake Lyman, Turron, Davenport, Parker Kelly, next man up, 1025 The Game.
Hey, Parker, chill out, man. Chill out. This is a banger, New York State of Mind. This is a part of one of the greatest hip-hop albums of all time, Illmatic. Yeah. This was a banger.
It's like a lesson for me every time you come in. Because, again, this is not like I'm not well-versed in any of this. So.
That right there. Yo, that's one of those tapes. Yeah. cassette tapes that you could play from front to back.
Parker takes a lot of pride in his bump music when you come in.
No,
so
as he should, man.
He's done a nice job today.
It's been a heater today.
It's been a heater. It's been a heater.
Next man up, 102.5 The Game. Jake Lyman, Turron, Davenport, Parker Kelly alongside you. Talking Titans here. 30 minutes to go in the show. If you got any more thoughts or questions for TD, you can get those in on our phone and text line 615-737-1025. Looking at the offensive line, TD, they haven't been horrible this year. Right? Like giving up a lot of sacks, most sacks in the league, but part of that is your rookie quarterback holding the ball too long. They haven't been horrible, but with the investment that you've put into it, you still want to get more back. And Dan Moore, you're not getting rid of him after 1 year. You're going to get rid of him after 2 years. That contract is basically a 2-year contract.
Right.
Zero dead money if they move on after next season. J.C. Latham, the injuries, I'm not willing to say it's a complete step back for J.C. Latham, but you haven't seen the progress that you would hope for from the 7th overall pick.
Right.
And then you've got your veterans at center and right guard. Zeitler's going to be gone. Will Cushenberry be gone as well? I don't know. But there just doesn't seem to be a whole lot of buttons that you can press to make that offensive line get a lot better this offseason without using some of that elite draft capital that you're going to have that probably needs to be allocated in other different places.
Yeah, I think, look, Peter Skoronski is going to continue to elevate. And in my opinion,
he's really good.
He's a Pro Bowler. Maybe not first team All-Pro, but he at least deserves mention, right? And Cushenberry, he's going to continue to, get back from actually what McCoy said yesterday, that he felt like maybe 3 weeks or so, like he first started to really get his legs under him. So you have to consider that. Zeitler, as you mentioned, going to be gone. Jackson Slater, you could slide him in. Or, as you mentioned, use draft capital. The good thing is the offensive line position is one where it's such a collective group.
Yeah.
You could plug somebody in, and it doesn't have to be a first-round pick. You know what I mean? You could put somebody in there and still have a good group. And, I mean, if you look at the capital, like you got a big-time contract at left tackle. You got 2 high picks, at guard and right tackle. You got a big-time contract at center. The main thing is that right guard position. And, look, Jackson Slater had a pretty solid camp.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To be a rookie coming from where he did, and be able to step in like he did. So, to me, the offensive line is not an area where I think you need to look at first, second round. Third round, and if somebody's there, but the thing is, it's all about who are you going to have in place to develop these guys, right? And it's funny you mentioned that, right? I say that because, look, Bill Callahan was supposed to be, and he still is. Like, he and Jeff Stoutland, like, I'm not going to sit here just because of this experience and say those are the 2 premier O-line coaches in the league.
There's enough of a pedigree there that one disappointing stop doesn't take away everything he's done in his career.
Yeah, exactly. So I think it is going to be important, who you have in there and how this offense works. And again, collectively, like the most sacks in the league, it's not just the O-line.
No.
Right? It's
collective.
It has a full story.
Yep. Left tackle with Dan Moore. I mentioned that they're probably not moving on from him after this year, even though it's not like he's been an elite left tackle. I think he's been okay. But do you think that Dan Moore should stop the Titans from taking a tackle early if they have one at the top of their board?
No, if there's a premier one there and he's, one of your best.
And he's like best player available on the board.
I think you have to absolutely consider it because, look, as you mentioned, this contract after next year is done.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it also is going to depend upon, because we've seen the level of impatience, right? So it's also going to depend upon, okay, because as a coach, honestly, I'm like, if there's a left tackle that's the third ranked left tackle, but there's a receiver that's the fourth ranked receiver, I might lean more towards the receiver because we need that a little bit more.
Yeah,
I'm going to consider it. Under normal circumstances, I would say take the guy you have higher on your board.
Yeah.
But when you look at this circumstance, it's already been shown that, hey, I mean, if I'm not productive this year and into next year, like I might join the FFCA. Right? The Fired Football Coaches Association. You know what I'm saying? So, and you don't want to be in that club.
That is a good point for Mike Borgonzi. knowing the quick trigger that Amy Adams-Strunk has had. And I think he is going to get a longer leash, especially based on the early returns from his first draft class. But maybe there's the thought in the head of, hey, we could go get a receiver that would help us right now and could immediately slot in as maybe our number 1, number 2. If this, let's say this is late first round or something like that. Or we could get a left tackle who would sit on the bench behind Dan Moore and maybe take his spot after a year on the bench. I may, if I'm Mike Borgonzi, be like, all right, I need the guy who's going to make an impact right now and go get that receiver.
Yeah, I think your sense of urgency is a little bit. Now, you got to be careful, right? Because you have the saying, haste makes waste, right?
Yep.
So you got to be careful. It's a tough situation to have to balance out. And that's why I don't envy, whoever the next coach is or Mike Borgonzi. I don't envy either. Though.
Well, and that's why you want to amass as many picks as possible so you don't have to pick and choose which positions you fill this year. You can fill all of them. Like, let's say you trade back with the Jets, you get their 2 first this year and their second, and they move up and they take the number 1 overall pick. Well, now you don't have to really worry about who do we take where. It's like, all right, we've got 4 premium positions that we want to fill. Doesn't really matter what order we take them in, but whoever's at the top of the board when we get there, let's go that direction.
Right.
That's why the Titans, as much as you want to see this team win, getting that top pick is so important because there's no better place to be as a franchise who is rebuilding. I will qualify it with, because obviously there's a lot of better places to be than the number 1 pick. But as a franchise that is rebuilding, there is no better place to be than at the top of the draft when you feel like you already have your quarterback.
Exactly. I mean, that's the critical part because you have all cards on the table in that case, right? If there's a guy that you like better than your current guy, you draft him, a la Cardinals. Now, we know it didn't work out as well as they would like to have, but then if there's, if you're up there and you got your quarterback and you want to trade back.
The Titans in 2016.
Yeah.
I mean, the reason the Titans got out of the cellar is because of that offseason in 2016.
Yep.
You brought in some veterans. You brought in a guy like DeMarco Murray at running back, but you also made that trade and you got Jack Conklin and Kevin Byard and Derrick Henry. There are some misses in there. Kevin Dodd, you picked at the top of the second round, but guess what? The more picks you have,
Austin Johnson.
Right. Austin Johnson at least made it through his rookie contract with the Titans. The more picks you have, the more throws at the dartboard you get, the easier it is to handle a loss.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you can miss picks when you have 12 of them in a draft. But when you only have 6 and you only have 2 in the top 70, like, you really got to hit those picks.
You got to hit them.
Not saying that you don't want to hit on all of them, but no one remembers that John Robinson took Kevin Dodd and Austin Johnson before Derrick Henry because he still took Derrick Henry.
Right. And you have those picks that offset, the bad ones.
Right. So this offseason is one of the more important ones in the franchise's history because you have a quarterback who has underwhelmed to this point, but you invested the first overall pick in him. You've got to go find him a head coach, and you've got to build the roster around him.
Yeah.
And this offseason, if you fail at either of those, if you don't find the right coach, if you mess up the roster building, you're setting this team back a long time. Yep. It has been a rough 5 years. And not quite 5 yet. 3 years.
Yeah.
3 years. 3 years from Monday, the Packers win on Thursday Night Football in Lambeau. Titans were 7-3.
Man, what a difference it was from then and now. Jeez.
Wes from Hermitage says on the text line, one of my biggest issues with Cam is this. He was the first overall pick, and he isn't even the best ward on the team. A different word that you found on the streets is, I know he was a second-round pick, but if you get drafted first overall, some things just can't happen. I know this sounds stupid, but the play isn't backing up the 1-1 pick yet. I mean, I get what you're saying, Wes, but like, just because they have another guy with his last name on the team.
Yeah. I look, more the play isn't backing up. Again, it's a process. And Teddy, he said it earlier, the patience, it has to be there. And I understand that there's a lot of reason to be impatient because it's been 3 tough years. It's been a long time where this organization just has continuously been, disrespected and treated like a second tier of franchises in the league. So I get the frustration, you know what I mean? But at some point, it's got to turn around. Like it's got to.
Yeah.
And they've had their good streaks, right? But you just got to get this ship back on course. And in this case, it's going to take a lot of load in that wagon.
Well, and it is funny. We talked about this in the draft process of, I think Titans fans were scared by their previous mistakes at the top of draft taking quarterbacks. And I think the PTSD is still there of, you thought you had your franchise quarterback multiple times, whether it's Vince Young, and after he won Rookie of the Year, and that didn't work out. Jake Locker never really showed a whole lot of promise, but you did take him in the top 10. It's like you thought he was going to be the guy. Marcus Mariota, you picked second overall. Like all of these failures, I think Titans fans have that in the back of their mind of like, all right, well, those ones didn't work out, so why is he going to work out?
Yeah.
You can't think about it that way. All these guys are different. The coaches are different. They've just got to put him in a situation to succeed and hope that his talent shines through.
That's really what it boils down to.
615-737-1025 is the phone number. Last call for phones for TD. We'll get to some of your questions on the other side. And also, we'll have a quick baseball discussion as a very controversial award is going to be handed out tonight. Who's it going to be? Cal or Aaron Judge? We'll talk about it coming up next. Jake Lyman, Turron Davenport, Parker Kelly, next man up, 1025 The Game. Wrapping up the show on this Thursday, next man up 102.5 The Game. Jake Lyman, Turron, Davenport, Parker, Kelly. Chase and Big Joe coming up after us. They are back in the Music City after a couple of days down in Key West. Tomorrow on the show, Connor Newt will be with us from 9 to 11. We'll preview the football weekend. And then from 11 to 12, Max Herr is going to come on and send us right into Preds pregame coverage from out in Sweden, playing in Stockholm against the Penguins over the weekend, tomorrow and Sunday. Couple more thoughts on the text line. Aubrey from Maryland says, do you think Brian Flores has a legit shot for this head coaching job? I think he would bring a great culture to this team, and he was winning in Miami.
Yeah, I think he would bring a great culture. I think he does have a legit shot, and you obviously have to pair him with a high-level offensive coordinator. And you look at the success that he's had in Minnesota. They know that hey, look, that's that team. They're going to attack. They know that defensively. So that is something.
Yeah, I think Brian Flores is up there among the defensive-minded head coaches that you could bring in. Looking at coordinators, Jesse Minter from LA is the one name that's being thrown out there a lot. But former head coaches, it's Robert Saleh, it's Brian Flores. And Mike Borgonzi said it last week. They don't care offense, defensive. They want a leader for this team. So there's really no way to cross anybody off the list. I think the Titans are going to cast a wide net, and they're going to look for somebody who can come in and be the CEO of this team. Because one of the biggest issues with Brian Callahan, I think, was he was more invested in being the guru play caller than being the head coach of the football team.
Yeah, and I think that's the main thing. And he even admitted to actually being able to step back and oversee things a little bit more. It still didn't work once he ceded the play calling duties to Bo Hardegree. But to your point, you do want somebody, and it's crazy because Buck Rise and I, we were talking about that, man, and all the things, like this dude had a very detailed plan. Like, he invited us in and showed us everything. It's just like, wow, this is really interesting. Like, it's not just some little fly by night, Boy Scout type. Like, this is real. Like, the formulas and all this stuff. And you're like, hey, and it just didn't work, man.
Right.
And I think end of the day, you need somebody that's going to come in here as an authority and just really, it's like, it's this way or no way.
Yeah.
How do you want to do it?
Yeah, and we'll see who the Titans bring in for interviews. There's so many interesting names out there, but we won't really know what the Titans are looking for until the end of the season into January, even though Mike Borgonzi said that search is underway. Getting towards the end of the show here, we were talking a little baseball earlier with your Mets possibly trying to make a trade for Tarek Skubal. Big debate going to be decided tonight. Who do you think's the MVP in the AL, Cal Raleigh or Aaron Judge?
It's a really good question because you say you take Judge away and the Yankees aren't anything, and Cal Raleigh, I give it to Judge. No, you know what? I'm going to give it to Cal Riley because I place an emphasis on the catcher position.
Right.
And I think when you look at that, you're handling the ball pretty much every time it's pitched, and you have an influence. Like, you have to have a calming influence on the pitchers. You know what I mean? And this team, they were very close. The Blue Jays.
They were about as close as you can get to going to the World Series.
Like the Blue Jays, they canceled Christmas in Seattle, but it's okay. I still think Cal Raleigh is the MVP.
It's one of the most highly debated award races that I have seen in any sport in a long time. Like, there's always races for the MVP in the NFL, the NBA MVP. But by the end of the season, I think everybody kind of has an idea of, okay, this is who it's going to be. This one, I could see it going either way. I really could. Aaron Judge, if you're looking at the pure offensive numbers, obviously had a better season than Cal Raleigh. The only thing that he was lower in was just home runs.
Yeah.
Right? Like, if you look at OPS and WAR and all this stuff and all the analytics, Aaron Judge was a better offensive player than Cal Raleigh. But Cal Raleigh was a good defensive catcher, managing one of the best pitching staffs in baseball while hitting 60 home runs. Like, it's really tough. Yeah. I don't know which way it's going to go. If I had to guess, I think it's going to be Judge, but nothing would shock me.
Yeah, well, the popularity contest is gonna factor in the familiarity that has the body of work, So I look, I wouldn't be mad either way, but I just say Cal Riley to me, and he broke the record for catchers, home runs,
and for switch hitters.
And for you got to. He should be it, man.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm gonna guess it's gonna be Judge. I think baseball has a little bit of the opposite of the NBA when it comes to MVP. In basketball, once you win a couple MVPs, I feel like it takes more for you to win another one. People are looking for the new and upcoming thing. In baseball, it feels like once you win a couple MVPs and are widely known as the best player in your league, you get a head start.
Yeah.
And it's like somebody has to prove that they're better than you to knock you off the block.
Yeah, exactly. You have to be, you can't be the up and coming hot thing. They're like, hey, wait a minute.
Right.
It's a more traditionalist type of approach.
Yeah. It's like, hey, this guy's done it. You can't just be as good as him. You have to be way better than him to knock him off. It's going to be Shohei in the NL again. And,
can you debate it?
Right. There's nothing you can say. He is the most valuable player. It's tough for any other candidates in the NL, but like when you are, even though he didn't pitch as much as he usually would this season, he still was the best hitter in the league and was pitching for the Dodgers at the same time. There's no argument. It's going to be Shohei, but going to be very interesting to see how it sorts out on the AL side. Tarek Skubal, back-to-back Cy Young winner. Congratulations to Tarek, possibly a future Met. I do love with baseball that right after the World Series ends, we get right into the offseason. So maybe as soon as like next week or the week after, we'll be on here talking about some of the big moves for the Mets.
Yeah. Well, look, man, you guys already taxed me twice for my tickets. And I know a third one's coming next month. So make something happen.
Go earn those season ticket fees that TD is playing.
No doubt.
That will just about wrap things up for us here on the show. It's been a lot of fun, TD. We'll do it again next week. Quick, before we get out of here, final thoughts on this game this weekend. Texans, they're coming off a comeback victory. They beat the Titans 26-0 last time, but Titans coming off the bye, maybe a chance to take a step forward.
Yeah, 7 times in NFL history in the modern day, a team has been shut out twice by the same team in the same season. The last time the Falcons in 2002 shut the Panthers out. I don't think it happens this week.
I would hope not.
But I still don't think the Titans are going to win, even without C.J. Stroud.
Me neither. I think it's going to be another Titans loss. But we'll see. Maybe we'll be talking about a win next week. TD, always appreciate you coming on. We'll talk to you next week.
Appreciate it.
That'll do it for us again tomorrow. Connor Newtmax is going to join us as we wrap up the week and send you into Preds pregame coverage. Jason Big Joe are back in Nashville. They'll take it from here. Coming up next, you're on 102.5 The Game.